However, some researchers have theorized that more general associations formed by previous generations can be passed down through the genome. A study published in Molecular Cell by Harvard Medical School, researchers found that adult tissues retain a memory of the embryonic cells from which they came in the form of methyl groups that bind to and detach from DNA.
We're talking to you. If you're here right now, we're talking to you. All right. We are so grateful that you're here. Right. This is going to be an amazing live stream today because of the transformations we know that you are going to have with your relationship to money, with your relationship to abundance, and with your relationship to wealth. We appreciate you showing up a little early, and we'll be starting just a minute or so. So keep this window open and your volume up so you don't miss a thing. All right. So let me ask you, do you ever feel like you're trapped in a never-ending loop? Hey, we've been there. We're coming from experience of having these experiences too, right? That never-ending loop, unable to break free from current financial situations. Do you feel like that? Well, you're not alone. Many of us have experienced that overwhelming feeling of stuck, right? Watching your financial goals slip further and further out of reach. So I want you to take a moment to imagine this. Imagine you've set ambitious financial goals for yourself, whether it's paying off a debt or saving for a dream vacation or buying a home. You've tried various strategies, budgeting, investing, maybe even dabbling in cryptocurrencies, right? Hoping to hit the jackpot. Right? But no matter what you do, you just can't seem to make meaningful purpose and progress in what you do, right? It's like you're spinning your wheels, expending all your effort, but getting nowhere. But today, come and take a deep dive with hidden aspect of consciousness that plays a crucial role in your financial well-being and discover how to break free from those traps of scarcity and step into a life of true abundance. You should be getting really excited here. Okay. If you're not, something's wrong. Okay. You should be getting excited. We're about to unlock the secrets of true abundance and show you how to escape the traps that you never saw coming. All right, we're just about to start. For those of you who jumped on early, we appreciate your eagerness and want to say thank you for allowing us to be your guides, leading you through the hidden keys to prosperity and seamlessly flowing wealth into your life. So now get focused. Have a pen and journal ready because this is going to be an unforgettable experience. Now it's time to start. So let's get ready to finally get to the root of what's preventing you from having true abundance.
All right, so here we go. We're straight up on the hour. Welcome, everyone. So let's get busy. So I might as well start with a query of sorts. Are you ready? Ready to unlock the secrets to true abundance and break free from the frustration and the disappointment and sometimes the embarrassment of the everyday struggle to succeed? If the answer is yes, then you are definitely in the right place because today you're going to uncover some hidden keys to prosperity that perhaps you never knew existed. You have the chance today to completely transform, enhance, and enrich your relationship with money and many other forms of abundance in ways that you never imagined. While the title of today's stream may seem maybe a little hyperbolic, discover how to ignite your DNA's abundance, there actually is ongoing research regarding DNA and memory. Now, the scientific evidence doesn't currently support the idea that memories are directly stored in DNA as we commonly think of them. Memories are typically stored in the brain as neuronal connections or synapses. And we can't transfer or we can't be transferred to the DNA of germ cells, which is what we inherit from our parents. However, Some researchers have theorized that more general associations formed by previous generations can be passed down through the genome. For example, a study published in Molecular Cell by Harvard Medical School, researchers found that adult tissues retain a memory of the embryonic cells from which they came in the form of methyl groups that bind to and detach from DNA. The placement of these methyl groups determines which genes are active and which are not. That, my friends, is epigenetics. Okay, so
Mhm.
here's the nerd version.
That wasn't the
Well,
nerd version?
yes. If you've been on some of the previous live streams, you know there's a lot of nerd versions. All right, so while other studies have also shown that environmental influences can leave chemical marks on genes that modify their activity, even if they don't alter their sequence. For example, an Emory University School of Medicine study found that a section of DNA responsible for sensitivity to the scent of cherry blossoms was made more active in mice sperm. The offspring of these mice and their offspring were extremely sensitive to the scent and would avoid it even though they had never experienced it themselves. What is that telling you? So, yes, DNA reacts to epigenetics through chemical modifications of DNA bases and changes to the chromosomal superstructure that packages DNA. Epigenetics is the study of how behaviors and environments can cause changes that affect how genes work without changing the DNA sequence. That these changes are called epigenetic modifications, and they can regulate whether genes are turned on or turned off. So, epigenetic modifications can be caused by many outside stimuli, including chemicals, including extreme exertion, and including trauma. They can also be part of normal development. For example, aging can cause histone post-transitional modifications to change, which can promote prolonged activation of the DNA damaged response. So, epigenetic modifications can be recorded in the genome in a few different ways, including DNA methylation and histone modification. These modifications can influence the production of proteins in cells, which helps ensure that each cell produces only proteins that are necessary for its function. Epigenetic changes can also be passed to offspring. You heard us talk about unseen forces that are shaping your understanding and therefore your experience of wealth and abundance. Wouldn't you want to know what they are? How would your life change if you learn what you can do to unravel those mysterious connections between epigenetics and your thoughts, your words, and deeds to magically modify your present epigenetic environment, to recode yourself to better attract abundance and prosperity like you've never done before? Our unique approach blends the metaphysical with the practical so that we can guide you to your prosperous pathways. Everyone here, everyone here has their own life situations that they're going through. And we have our own stories of hardship and pain and perseverance, like Gary said earlier. A couple of months ago, we shared the story of Alex, a young professional who dreams of building a family and owning a home. He and his partner, they worked tirelessly, saving every penny and making sacrifices along the way. They tried different investment strategies, hoping to accelerate their savings, but every time they start to make progress, something comes along to derail their plans. A car repair, a medical bill, or even a global pandemic. Despite their best efforts, Alex feels like they're stuck. in just this financial rut, unable to move forward towards their goal of home ownership. He's left wondering, where is all this abundance that the gurus keep talking about? Where the hell is it? So, if you can relate to Alex's story, then it's time to break free from feeding stuck and start making meaningful progress towards true abundance. So let's explore the underlying beliefs and thought patterns that may be holding you back from your own infinite abundance. Let's look at practical strategies to shift your mindset and take control of the flow of abundance in your life. You cannot let feeling stuck keep you from living the life you've always dreamed of. Now, we're not going to go into a really deep dive soul searching here, trying to figure out where and when your coding got corrupted. Because it never did. It never got corrupted. That's right. You're not broken. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your grandparents' fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way you are. Perfect. And each strand of your DNA made you who you are today. Each one led you on a teaching path to here, this very moment. This now is a place of choice.
As choice is everything, right? And everything is choice. And the bare bones, that's the bare bones simplicity of all of this. So if you can figure out how to redefine your understanding of wealth, you can unlock your hidden potential and step into a life of true abundance. So for some of you that are listening, this is going to be this is going to change your life, and you don't want to miss any of this content. So let's get real. Okay. The mainstream portrayal of how to get rich is mostly bogus, right? We're bombarded with, from very early ages, right? We're bombarded with messages that wealth comes from grinding yourself into the ground with endless hustle and hard work, right? Or worse yet, that it requires shady, cutthroat tactics, right? Or that it's only for a select few. But here is the truth bomb, right? Real stuff here. Sustainable abundance has very little to do with any of those outdated narratives. Okay? Hear me. It has little to do with those outdated narratives. It all starts with your inner game of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Right? So to borrow from a quote from a good friend of ours, T. Harv Eker, who wrote he wrote the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. So the quote is, if you want to change the fruits, you will first have to change the roots. If you want to change the visible, you must first change the invisible. There's a lot in that to unpack in that. So really, there's some real powerful words of wisdom there from Harv. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about your thoughts. They are the software that's running in the background of your mind. And at the same time, they're also coding your DNA. They consist of images, movies, sounds, imaginations, emotions, memories, right? Which Ross talked about. All these things blend together and are constantly shaping your beliefs and your perceptions of reality in the now, which Ross talked about. Okay? So at the core of those thoughts, it's important to understand that scarcity thoughts breed a scarcity experience, while prosperity thoughts open up to infinite possibilities. And here's a couple examples. Okay. Some of the thoughts, right? So think about the experience that can happen when someone has a thought, there's never enough money or opportunity, if that's a thought that's going on, versus the universe is infinitely abundant. right? Can you see, can you experience, can you sense how those give you different versions of reality to step into? Right? Or, I'll never be able to afford that. If that's a conversation that's going on up here or verbalizing to affirm it, versus I'm a magnet for money and it flows easily to me. Right? Think about the reality, those two, the reality doors that those open up for you. Okay. Or, rich people are greedy and corrupt versus I deserve prosperity and create value. Right? Now, the thing with that is, though that shows that the words you speak out loud and to yourself are powerful incantations. So, whenever you are speaking out loud or to yourself, you are either declaring a reality to be true or you are invoking one that's going to be. Your words reinforce your predominant thought patterns and can inspire you into wealth congruent actions, or they can trap you in a loop of lack and limitations. In fact, in our signature program, the Infinity Process, we teach our students and clients a very systematic and powerful way to actually program highly empowering declarations of reality into their everyday world so that there is constant, consistent, and congruent communication to your inner and your outer world to take advantage of the many forms of abundance that's all around you all the time. Right? So here's some examples of lack versus abundance invocations and declarations that we often hear people say without any hesitation or questioning of the validity. Right? So I hear people say regularly, "Oh, I can't do that." Think about that incantation. Think about that declaration of reality that you're stating versus there's got to be a way and I'll find it no matter what. Okay? Or, why do I never have enough? That's a powerful incantation. There's a lot of things packed into that one, right? Versus, I'm so grateful for the abundance I allow into my life. And then just the experience of even just, think about complaining about bills versus celebrating your ability to afford things.
Exactly. So we actually did a whole series of live streams on the power of words, and you absolutely can check it out. It's on YouTube. I'll drop the link in the comments, but it's really, really powerful. You're gonna love it. So let me ask you, so have you ever met somebody who exuded confidence and leadership and abundance? Do you think that, did you think that that just happened? They were coded that way, sometimes on purpose, through family conditioning, sometimes through striving, hard work, and perseverance, sometimes a little of both. And yes, the opposite happens too, as here.
Yes, I don't know if it's you. Is anybody else having issues? Ross is freezing for me. Let me know in the chats if you guys are still hearing. Ross is freezing. Well, while he gets his stuff sorted out there, I'm not sure if his Wi-Fi or his internet or whatever, but okay. So while he gets kind of reorganized there, so let me go. So Sim says, "What can I tell myself to believe the line? I am a magnet to money. I want to believe it, but I feel deep down I'm not really." Yeah, so there's that confliction, right? Because when you're saying it as an affirmation, and we're not really big on affirmations here at Infinity Matrix. Um, you wanted what you wanted is you want to find some evidence to back up what you're saying. It doesn't have to be because remember when you say I'm a money magnet, any kind of money coming to you, you can say that, hey, I'm a money magnet. You may not be magnetizing the amount of money you want yet, but you got to start somewhere, right? So you need to give yourself some evidence-based um, declaration of reality instead of an affirmation that's hoping it to be. So when you're saying it right now, right, when you're saying I'm a money magnet, a magnet to money, I want to, it's because you're doing it as what's considered to be an affirmation. You're saying it with the hopes that one day it'll come around to be true. Okay. What we're saying is find some evidence that supports that, whether it's small and incremental or, from the past or whatever, then you start there. And then if that's not real, I mean, if you pay for anything, if you pay for your gas, if you pay for your food, you had to attract that money, right? Again, it may not be the amount that you want yet, but you still attracted it. So you acknowledge that as truth. And then you build on that. And when you start to build on that as your belief, then the amount of the money and the flow of it starts to come easier. But if you're doing it with that conflicting, I'd like this to be, but I don't believe it. I'd like this to be, but I don't believe it, which is what most affirmations do. And that's why they don't work, right? Or they work that's when they don't work, that's what's going on. It's a better way to say it, right? When they don't work, it's what's going on is there's an external hope, but an internal disbelief or a conflict that's going on, right? And so that's what you want to do. You want to find, and then here's the other thing. So if you say, yeah, but Gary, I don't attract any money at all. My bank account is zero. I can't pay for anything. There's no money coming in any way, shape, or form. There's no. Then what you got is you change your definition of abundance. Okay, which I talked a little bit about, is redefine what you consider to be abundance. And money is just one form of abundance. And we have in variety of our different live streams, we talk about the different forms of abundance that are around us. And when you acknowledge the abundance that's around you, money is included in that. So the universe doesn't care. It's not the universe doesn't say, well, um, I'm going to isolate this part of abundance out of their abundance experience. No, abundance is abundance, right? Even if right now you are attracting an abundance of debt, it's still attracting abundance, right? And that's attracting money on the negative side. Okay. So again, it's what you have to do is you have to tap into what you can confirm as a reality experience and then build on that. All right. So I don't know. Let me check in with where Ross is going here. I'm gonna just message him and you, you. All right. Um, so does that make sense, Sim Sim? It was Sim Sim that wrote that in. Does that give you a little bit more understanding of how that can happen? Because it's a common thing, right? People tell us that all the time. Is I have these I want this to be, but it's not real. And so the more I say it, the more I'm convincing myself or trying to convince myself, the more there's a part of me that's affirming that you're lying to yourself, right? And when that happens, then there's no chance of that reality shifting. In fact, it reinforces the negative side of it. Okay? So, so what are you saying is count your blessings and let momentum take its course. In some ways, yeah, and again, if you listen to the deeper underlying messages of a lot of the law of attraction type stuff, when they're talking about gratitude, that's ultimately what you're doing. You're being grateful for what you do have instead of focusing on things you don't have. And in doing that, you start to build that momentum, that attraction, that vibrational frequency shifts internally. And that as your vibrational frequency shifts, you actually shift to a different reality that you start to notice things differently. Right? Your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that sorts out for what it's going to put attention on, starts to see things in a light that it never saw it before. It starts to hear things that it never heard before, starts to feel things it never felt before, and takes you on a different trajectory. Right? And so that's and in doing that, you start to shift, and with the consistency of the repetition of that and the reinforcement of that, you start to influence your DNA, and that's what we're talking about here, right? It's different from, and we're saying that there's an evolution that's going on. Okay. In my experience, I've been in the coaching, consulting, and therapy world for a long time. I retired in hypnotherapy in 2009, and after 20 odd years of practicing over 18,000 one-on-one sessions, I realized that hypnosis is a powerful tool, right? But it doesn't always work. Why doesn't it always work? And that kind of was always bugging me, right? It does a lot of powerful things, but some people it didn't. Or it was very difficult or challenging to, and had to look at what were the variables. And what I found was that there's levels of change that people can have, right? So first level of change is conscious. You become aware of something you need to do, and you consciously put your willpower on it, do it until it becomes a new habit, and there you go. You've got a new lifestyle change. The second is at the unconscious level, which is where the affirmations, meditations, and hypnosis and guided visualization, all those things fall into that realm of trying to tap into that part of the mind, the unconscious level, to communicate a message to that, to get a different response based on that message, right? But there's a deeper level that we're talking about now, right? So the deeper level, the more profound, the more base level, is in the genetics, the blueprint, right? And the genetic expression, in that code of who you are as a being, if that code has been reinforced for with, we talked about the lab experience with the rat, the mice, and all that kind of stuff. If it's reinforced with negative things from growing up or even generational, and that's deeply wired at the blueprint level, no amount of unconscious changing or techniques will make the difference unless that impacts the DNA, right? The base blueprint code. So it's a different level of transformation that we're talking about when we're talking about the infinity process, because it's about redesigning your entire internal, what we call the internal matrix and the external matrix, so that they are consistently congruent and in alignment and coherent with one another based on what you intend and what you put into the code. All right. So Ross says he's having internet. Zoom errors won't connect. Okay. Finish up. I'm just letting Ross know that his internet won't let him connect. So, all right. So yeah, so it's that. So that's what we're talking about here, is that it's on another level, right? So most of what you're hearing out there, in fact, all of what you're hearing out there, because nobody that I know of is doing it at the level. Well, there's a couple. There's a few. I mean, Joe is into it. I think obviously Dr. Bruce Lipton is tapping into it, and they understand the how. What we're talking about this, they understand the what. We're talking that we've got a systemized process to do the how of it all, right? A very systemized process called the infinity process that actually recodes your reality internally and externally, right? And we're giving you snippets of that, and we've been giving you snippets of that in these experiences, these infinite matrix experiences, week after week after week, and in our offerings that we do. Oh, here he's back. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Here is Ross coming in. There he is. He's got audio, and he's back. All right. we We pulled him out of the
Uh,
depths of another universe and brought him back for you. So
exactly.
I just kind of went on a bit of a side note based on some of the comments that were in there. So wherever you left off, you can kind of jump back on from there,
Oh
or else.
no. I'm sorry, everyone. I left you with one of Gary's rants.
And you come back in just when I was just getting going too, man.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. So then you guys owe me. I saved you from
Probably
one of
just in time for everybody.
Okay, so Gary was talking about the declarations and the power of words were, and you
Mhm.
can actually check out the series that we did, and we're going to put the link in the comments about on the power of words. We did four whole live streams on words, and it was really powerful, very, very popular. So I'm not sure where I dropped off, but let me ask you all a question. So have you ever met somebody who just exuded confidence and leadership and abundance? And do you think that just happens? They were coded that way, sometimes on purpose through family conditioning, sometimes through striving and hard work and perseverance, and sometimes a little of both. And yes, the opposite happens too. I've witnessed the proverbial brothers, one driven and successful while the other lazy and complacent. Now, both were raised by the same parents, the same conditions, but somewhere one perceived his environment differently than the other. And for each, psychological and physiological changes, they took hold and their future played out. Each one taking different actions, behaviors, and habits executed differently. And this is where the rubber meets the road. We're talking about your actions, your behaviors here, how your deeds reflect your inner programming and pave the way for increased success and prosperity or perpetual lack and hardship. So it plays like this. Um, Investing, saving portions of income versus spending it all. Go doing that. Oh, I got extra money in my paycheck. I'm just going to spend it. I'm going to go splurge. These are life decisions. Taking calculated risks to grow versus always playing it safe, sometimes too safe. Pursuing opportunities aligned with your goals versus operating from fear and in that comfort zone. Cultivating abundance and mentors versus surrounding yourself with lack-minded people. So when your thoughts and your words and your deeds are all aimed towards wealth and abundance, you become energetically aligned with manifesting prosperity. It's like planting seeds of intention and nurturing them through your actions. But if there's a dissonance where your thoughts contradict your words, and I was listening in while I was gone because I kind of had internet, but I didn't. But where your thoughts contradict your words and your deeds don't match your goals, you stay stuck. You stay stuck in that lack, in that limitation, because congruence is the key. The path to abundance is an inside job first. Mastering your inner world of thoughts and choosing prosperous words puts you in the energetic flow. Then inspired deeds become easier as real world opportunities. They rush in, they literally rush in to meet your vibrational energy. So you see, the societal programming that we've absorbed has massively misled us about wealth acquisition. Riches don't stem from perpetual grind or unethical means. True prosperity flows from consciousness and aligned action. When your thoughts and words and habits are laser focused on wealth congruent behaviors and beliefs, you become a mega attractor for abundance. It's like a metaphysical magnet drawing prosperity to you instead of you running after it. Now, I'm not talking about some far out woo-woo nonsense here. Our new Ignition Factor Masterclass combines these metaphysical insights with rock solid business building and profit generating tactics. It's a powerful and unique 1-2 punch. And we'll drop the registration link down below, but it is phenomenal.
So here's the real tea, though. All right. 90% of the get rich, quote unquote, get rich books and gurus are just plain wrong. And the evidence is if their advice actually worked, way more people would be rolling in the dough, right? But most people are still broke because their thoughts and actions are misaligned from true abundance, right? Those books come out as fast as diet books do. Right? So just like dieting, right? True wealth starts in your mind and in your spirit. Even money guru Robert Kiyosaki says it clearly in this quote. The single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. This is a money guy, right? This guy that's his focus and message is on money. And his quote is the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. And he continues with, if it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth in what seems to be an instant. Right? So once you make the inner decision to embrace prosperity consciousness, you've got to bring it into physical reality through purposeful action. So no more running in place on the hamster wheel. Your moves have to be intentional and congruent with your vision. And remember, abundance isn't just about money, as I mentioned earlier. It's about value you create and the magnetic presence you cultivate. And when you start operating from that higher frequency, wealth in all its forms will rush in. So ditch those limitation based lies and explore a more spiritually grounded approach. Open your mind to these deeper truths about money, and you'll be prosperous beyond your wildest dreams in no time, or what would seem to be no time. So, who's ready to ignite their empowered mindset and level up to the abundance they deserve? Give me a hashtag ignite in the comments if that's you. Hashtag
That's it.
ignite in the comments.
That's it. So sometimes it can be as simple as embracing the flow of giving and receiving. You know that feeling when someone tries to pay you a compliment, but you bat it away awkwardly? Oh, oh, I am not. You know that. Or how about when when a friend insists on grabbing the dinner check and you get all flustered and protesting? Those moments reveal just how uncomfortable many of us are with the acts of giving and receiving. So here's another harsh truth bomb. If you want to unlock true, boundless abundance, you've got to get free flowing with giving and receiving. And I struggled with this for a long time. Any hesitation or cringe factor is essentially putting a dam, a stop, a wall in the universal infinite river of prosperity. Now, for my favorite rant. The universe is infinitely abundant by nature. It's not stingy or withholding. That perceived scarcity is just an illusion of a conditioned, limited human mind. When you embrace the truth, this truth, at a core level, you realize that there's no need to catch or cling to anything. You can give generously, trusting that more will absolutely return to you. Likewise, there's zero need to shrink away from receiving with open arms and gratitude, as Gary said earlier. That abundance wasn't yours to begin with. It's simply the universe's natural flow circulating back to you as you allow it in. Stepping into that reverent receivership is key to letting the God, goddesses, all that is, the life force, know that you are always open and ready to receive more with deep gratitude, regardless of the value. And that's really important as well. Because to the universe, $1 million is the same value as a penny. Think about that. Now, I'm not talking about just taking and taking like some brat with entitlement issues. True receiving requires humility and appreciation for the gift, not ego, not expectations. In other words, yes, expect abundance to flow through you, but don't expect to never pick up the dinner check. That makes sense. It's allowing the universe and its generosity to move through you, not getting hung up on deserving it or not. The goal is to reach a point where giving and receiving feel like one unified organic flow. You are part of the mechanism of abundance, not its reason for existence. Remain transparent for abundance to circulate in and out freely, not attaching it to your identity or your self-worth. This is the ultimate abundance allowing state that you want to become your default state of being.
Yeah, now, of course, this mindset shift isn't always easy, right? Most of us have deeply ingrained blocks and funky notions around money from childhood, or, as I mentioned, genetically embedded blueprints that we mentioned earlier in our DNA, right? But a little self-awareness can go a long way, right? Notice when you start to tighten up at the thought of or action of giving away time, energy, money, and doing that fully, right? Notice how the body responds when you have to give those things up, or when you reject compliments and gifts without realizing, right? Here are three examples of deeply ingrained blocks and bizarre notions around money from childhood that some people adopted as a reality. And along with that, I'll add some more empowering alternative mindsets to consider. All right. So an ingrained block, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. Pretty popular one, right?
Yeah.
Implying that money is scarce and something to carefully hoard. You see how that implies all of that and the tightness that comes around that? Okay. What if you could embody and declare this empowering alternative? I am one with the unlimited abundance of the universe. Remember, I talked earlier about when you're declaring reality, it's based on evidence based fact. You can't deny that you're one with the unlimited. I mean, that's true, right? So you start with that. Okay, so the alternative to money doesn't grow on trees is I am one with the unlimited abundance of the universe. Money flows to me easily and endlessly. Right? Ingrained block number two: rich people are greedy or corrupt. Right? Well, what this does is it puts in place a judgment of wealth and unconsciously feeling undeserving of it. Right? What if what if you could embody and declare this empowering alternative instead? I embrace ethical abundance. Money is a natural positive force when used for good. right? Think about the experience of those. And then ingrained block number three, we can't afford that. By saying that or thinking that, it's programming scarcity and lack into your self worth. So, what if you could embody and declare this empowering alternative? I am a magnet for prosperity. I attract what I need with ease and gratitude. Now, the key is to become aware of these limiting beliefs that are instilled from a young age and maybe even later in, because it could happen at any time. Could have happened yesterday. Okay. So it was as soon as you become aware of them and then you can consciously replace them with new declarations of reality that reflect and invoke universal abundance. And this programs the subconscious line with an empowered, prosperous mindset. And when you learn the infinity process, we teach you how to program these kinds of things deeper than the unconscious mind and have it impact your actual DNA coding. And when that happens with our clients and students, it's in times when they used to shrink back, right, into lack, they immediately experience expanding into their brightness of limitless wealth and possibility as a new default. And many programs out there try to point out to either an inside or an outside job, right? So you got to just work on your internal, or you got to just go and do the hard work on the external. But our unique process creates a coherence, which I talked about earlier. It creates a coherence with your internal world reality and your external world experiences as you deprogram the old notions and recode your life from a frequency of there's more than enough for me.
Exactly. So these are often subtle income and abundance blockers that can catch you by surprise. You have to catch and repattern them to break free from them. Keep feeling into the truth. And you're simply a vessel. The real truth is you're simply a vessel for the unlimited flow of prosperity. The more you embrace your divine role in that circulation, the more you'll find many, many forms of abundance that will pour into your life. And we've done a number of live streams on the different forms of abundance. So please don't think of abundance as just money. It's far greater than that. So let's turn open up your place in the abundance mechanism. Let's oil the machine. Let's give it a kickstart. Accept any abundance that comes your way as the universe plays out to see or to test if you're really ready. So ditch any remaining disingenuous energy. You know, when we say affirmations, people just go through the motions of saying words. As Gary pointed out earlier, it's declaring who you are and what you deserve. So quit boxing yourself into an energetic deficiency cycle of lack and limitation and fear. Because a life of opulent wealth and generosity is available, and it's available right now. It never turns off unless you turn it off. You just have to stretch your consciousness to perceive and receive it all. So who's really ready to truly be open and welcoming to more experiences of giving and receiving on a cosmic level? Give me a hashtag open and ready now in the comments. Let me see. Let us see. All right. Now I want to prepare you for some silent and dangerous traps that drag people into the dark depths of lack and limitation. So let me ask you, do you often find yourself overwhelmed by emotional stresses related to money, like anxiety and fear and shame and guilt? And they seem to seep into every aspect of your life. Well, you're not alone. Many people experience emotional turmoil when it comes to their money, when it comes to their finances and the concept of abundance. And it can have a significant impact on our well being and on our relationships. You ever had an experience like this? You wake up in the middle of the night, your mind racing with worries about unpaid bills, mounting debt, or an uncertain financial future. You've tried to bury these feelings, but they always seem to resurface, leaving you feeling trapped, and powerless. It's like carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders that just never seems to lift off. Or maybe it's that queasy feeling that rises up when you have to ask for what you're worth, or that cringe when making a big purchase, even if you can afford it. That's good old money fear. Shame and guilt rearing their ugly heads. And let me tell you, those toxic emotions are absolutely prosperity blockers of the highest order. So I want you to pause for a second and get radically honest with yourself. Do you sometimes feel embarrassed about making lots of money or spending lavishly? Maybe there's a nagging sense that it's greedy or wrong to be openly wealthy. You see, the thing is that you've probably been culturally programmed with all kinds of interesting conditioning around wealth and abundance.
Yeah, but here's the hard truth, though, right? So unless you're straight up breaking laws, feeling fear, shame, or guilt about money is utterly useless, right? In fact, it acts like an energetic dam that's restricting the free flow of abundance that's always trying to rush in. So you've got to do some lack and limitations mindset demolition and release those constructive emotions once and for all to set yourself free. True wealth is an electromagnetic force, and you're the energetic antenna, the conduit, allowing it to move freely. Any resistance or negativity you layer on top just plugs up the channels of flowing abundance. So the goal is to approach every financial exchange from a place of uncompromised freedom, ease, and self-assurance. And that means no hesitation boldly declaring worth, no apologies for lavishly guilt-free spending. That doesn't mean, spending with because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between spending because you know you got it and you're treating yourself, as opposed to spending because you're uncomfortable with having money and you got to get rid of it. Completely different, right? And definitely no constrictions around the idea of aggressive wealth building. You're just fluidly allowing the infinite supply from the source energy to flow as it was naturally intended for you. Now, you may be thinking that dismantling those deep-seated blocks takes a lot of work, a lot of therapy, it doesn't have to, right? In fact, in our Infinity Process trainings, we load up our clients and students with over 20 different methods and strategies to make the process seem seamless. One of the most powerful practices is to get radically honest about your anti-abundance thoughts and stories, like Ross talked about. So notice when you're judging rich people as greedy or corrupt. Realize that those limiting beliefs are only harming your experience of abundance. It doesn't affect them. They don't care, right? Or when you're shrinking at the idea of asking for more, right? That's likely just echoes of an old scarcity wound that's trying to protect you, or programming that at the DNA level is influencing your experience. Because so many of us grew up in a society that intentionally or accidentally conditioned in a program of lack and limitation into our DNA blueprints, our DNA code. It's critical that you have systems and processes in place to consistently shine light on those types of narratives. And once they come into awareness, you can then intentionally replace them, as we've talked about it earlier. You can intentionally replace them with an empowered mindset of security, self worth, and flow. Maybe you start declaring that your wealth allows you to be generous and provide opportunities for others, or that money is simply an abundant positive force for growth and evolution as it flows through the core essence of your spiritually evolving life force. But the key is to reprogram and decode any perceptions that money or having abundance is dirty, scarce, or undeserved. See it for what it truly is. It's just a natural form of energy that's always accessible and flowing infinitely all around us. No different than air. And you're meant to
Yeah,
be an open channel, allowing that life force to move through you, not hoarding or resisting it.
exactly. So here's a simple yet powerful exercise to clear blocks around shame and guilt with abundance. Okay. We call it the abundance allowing breath practice. And it's just 5 simple steps. Okay. So if you have a pen and journal handy, I want you to write all these out down for me. Okay. Number
Hold on,
one.
hold on. If any of you, sorry, Ross, if any of you are thinking about stepping away from the screen right now, stop. This is a powerful exercise.
Exactly.
Okay.
All
This
right.
can absolutely, in the next 24 hours, start to turn things around for you.
All right. So step one, you're going to center and observe. So get into a comfortable seated position. Now, you don't have to do this right now, but I want you to take notes. So you are going to be doing this on a regular basis. So get into a comfortable seated position and take a few just centering breaths. Okay. Bring to mind any feelings of shame or guilt or discomfort that you have around money. Don't judge them, just observe them. That's interesting. Well, that's very interesting. Okay. Some memories will come up possibly. Well, that's really interesting. It's like you're looking through a window into a room, just observing them. And take a few moments to notice what comes into awareness. And then the second step, you're going to breathe in abundance. So now you're going to inhale deeply and imagine you are breathing in unlimited universal abundance as a golden light that's flowing in and all around you. It's coming into your lungs, and from your lungs, it's going through your veins and your arteries and into your muscles and into your fingers and into your toes. And you are now the light. You mentally release any shameful, guilty money feelings, expelling them like toxic, unwanted energy as you exhale. So, step three, you're going to declare your abundant reality and release. So, you're going to continue step two's breath cycle. Inhale abundance, exhale your limiting beliefs. With each exhale, state your declaration of reality to release any resistance to prosperity. Something like, I allow and welcome abundance to flow freely into my life. And do this 3 to 5 times. Then step four, become open to receiving. Now that you've cleared the limiting and toxic energy, you can switch to heart-centered breathing. Do this by inhaling and feeling yourself receiving and accepting infinite provisions from the universe. And with every exhale, begin to embody the feeling of receptive abundance. taking, giving from the infiniteness of all there is, completely free of any fear or any shame or guilt around that abundance that you are connected with now. You are an open channel for money, for abundance and connection to source energy. And the final step 5, integrate and intend. Complete a few more cycles of the heart-centered breathing and fully feel the integration of that abundant energy. Now set an intention to take this abundant mindset to your through your day and through your thoughts and your words and your choices and your actions. Take a few moments and open your eyes, fully centered in your worth. So repeat this practice regularly. Put it in your calendar to release old money shame and realign with the natural flow of prosperity. With each breath, you will effortlessly become the magnet for abundance. So let's breathe through that old shame and watch it dissipate into the ether it came from. There's nothing but freedom and surrender to the divine flow ahead. So who's ready to dance in their worth without apology? So give me hashtag I am worth it. Let's see what happens.
All right. And once again, that is an awesome practice for you to add into your day right away, right?
Yes.
When you combine that with another practice we teach called the abundance inventory, you get some truly magical results almost overnight. And we'll be teaching that practice in our upcoming masterclass, The Ignition Factor, Catapulting Your Business with 6 Radical Steps. We'll drop the registration link in the comments if you want to check that out, and just head over there and check it out. Another thing preventing you from having true abundance is the idea that was drilled into so many of us from parents, teachers, media, and even some of our peer groups growing up. And that is, you can't be successful if you don't make a lot of money. While money is a variable in the success equation, it's just the means, not the end, right? And I know you've heard it before. Money can't buy happiness. Yet so many of us stay fixated on accumulating more and more cash, letting dollar signs blind us from our deeper motivations. True prosperity has nothing to do with hoarding funds like in a Scrooge-like vault. Right? Those of you that don't know Scrooge, we're talking about the Christmas guy who is very stingy. That's the reference. Okay, it's about aligning with the energy and energy flow that allows you to manifest all your heart's desires, the experiences, the emotions, and the rich fulfillment of having anything and everything you want. Money is just the thing that facilitates those experiences. All right? So, again, can we continue to get radically honest here? You don't really want money itself, do you? Money is just a neutral resource, an energetic means of exchange. What you likely crave are the feelings you associate with having plenty of it and utilizing it, right? Freedom, security, abundance, maybe even status or power. But focusing solely on the dollar amounts is putting the proverbial cart before the horse. The most influential wealth leaders are obsessing over they aren't growing over obsessing piles of cash, right? They've embodied prosperity as a state of being that naturally attracts monetary flow. And we're talking the visionaries, right? Artists and entrepreneurs who've tapped into the energy of infinite abundance fueled by inspired purpose. That's what we want to ignite in you and in that upcoming masterclass. So check the link out. Once again, make sure you don't miss out on that training. Drop a hashtag Ignite Me if you want to get, if you have any questions or you want to talk more about that, just hashtag Ignite Me if you want the link directly, but we will drop it in the comments in a second here.
Exactly. So, Gary, I want to answer a question that somebody put in the comments here. Elena says, but what happens when you know that the direction is different, but the principles and values bring rebuke? Oops, my computer just
Yeah.
went weird. One second.
And you don't choose what you feel.
And you don't choose. Yeah, can you? My computer just went
It's
bizarre
with
on
you
me.
in tech today. All right.
I'm telling you.
And then it says, does the universe uh, end up doing it for you in other ways? It
Yeah,
can. Again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. It depends on what's congruent in
thank
your
you.
statement of reality, right? Um, so when you know the direction is different. So again, I'm guessing you're talking about like if you I guess I need more clarity on what you mean by the direction is different. Is it conflicting? Is that what you're saying? And value would be what you choose, what you feel.
I'm kind of reading this as that you want something, you want your abundance and you want your life to turn out this specific
Mm,
way. I want it
yeah.
like A, B, C, D, and the universe might say, well, no, it's going to be L, K, M, O, Z and such because this is what's going to work better for you. And this is where the trust comes in. You're like, okay, well, this isn't going panning out the way I thought it would, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means it's different. And if we're in error, please put another comment in here and clarify for us as well. But for those visionaries and those artists and entrepreneurs, money is simply the byproduct of living a passion-filled life aligned with their truths. Which kind of answers Elena's question a little bit. It's effortlessly rushes in to support your grand vision and your exciting plans, not as an end goal in itself, but as a pleasurable side effect of creating the value that lights them up and lights you up, all while doing what you love. This is the paradigm shift that can truly change everything. Pay attention here because instead of chasing money itself, get deeply clear on the rich experiences and the feelings that truly motivate you at your core.
Mhm. And that's a key to your answer there too, Ellen.
Right.
What's at your core, what that resonates and what that vibrates to attract.
Exactly. Maybe it's the thrill of globetrotting, you know, the tranquility of financial freedom, the pride of providing generously or for your loved ones. Whatever your core desired feelings are, anchor to that vibration first. I am doing this to create a future for my children. I am doing this, for this reason. I am doing it for this reason because they are passionate. They are deep within me. And this is why we talk about don't get too attached on the absolute path. It has to be done like this because maybe you're wrong. Maybe it has to be done like this in this direction instead. It's going to be easier. We call this the higher mind, where the higher mind it already knows the path. And the higher mind sits on the top of the mountain looking down and sees all the obstacles. And you're gonna go this way and run into a wall. And it says, no, I want you to go this way and avoid the wall.
Or it says you need to get that skill of climbing a wall, so here's a wall.
Exactly. Exactly. So from that energized frequency, you'll naturally attract the perfect avenues for a prosperous flow. Whether that's a wildly successful business, or invested wealth, or extraordinary opportunities. but you put the main thing as the vibrational experience that you desire, your fulfillment, expressed through the genius and the brilliance that's inside of you. Money's just the grateful supporter allowing you to amp up that expression in a delightful form. It's no longer the be all end all, more like a bonus treat that deliciously complements the decadent main course of your passion fueled purpose. So eliminate those dusty, narrow ambitions of just getting rich for rich's sake, because in most cases it doesn't work. Or when it does work, you feel unfulfilled. Because that's kind of a small fry rookie move. You're here to dream up the life experiences that awakens every cell within you and then go out and boldly create it with prosperity as your cheerful assistant. Let your bliss be the inspiration and watch abundance eagerly serve your majestic narrative.
So, what we're saying here is that the pursuit of prosperity isn't about fattening your bank account at its core, right? It's a direct line to experiencing higher states of consciousness and rapid personal evolution. So we're talking a whole being expansion, right? See, most of humanity is still operating from an animalistic survival mentality hardwired by our ancestors. Sure, that programming served us well when mere existence was a struggle. But in modern times, that fear-based scarcity mindset is straight up limiting our infinite potential. So collectively, we've gone through times of deep and profound transformation. And transformation is great, but evolution is better. And that's where we believe we are now on that the path we're now on in this version of planet Earth. Okay? True prosperity demands that we shed those reptilian thought patterns and tap into something far greater, the boundless field of abundance that's woven into the universe's very fabric. Engaging in prosperous business and wealth creation is one of the purest paths to awakening to that profound truth, at least in our experience. Right? Think about it. Conducting successful entrepreneurial activities is like, things like serving customers, strategizing, negotiating. These can't be accomplished from a purely animalistic consciousness. They require rising up to a more rarefied levels of intellectual discernment and creative expression. And then activating those higher facilities is the key. But it goes beyond the mental realm. At the deepest level, prospering stems from purpose-driven spiritual awareness. It's acting from your highest self, the part of you operating for the greatest good of all, in harmonious co-creation with the divine flow of life itself. And that existential shift in vibration attracts prosperity as natural and effortless as anything you'll ever do. Now, I'm not just being poetic here, okay? Some of the most pioneering thought leaders and entrepreneurs will straight up tell you their greatest achievements and fortunes come from tapping into a transcendent, unified field of awareness. It's kind of like a secret sauce.
That's right. And we got the recipe. It's in our safe. So, for the wise wealth creators, accumulating riches is never the end goal itself. It's simply joyful evidence that they're living in resonance with the universal abundance and actively birthing their highest vision into form. The money is just a happy side effect of harnessing their true energetic potential. It can be considered a unit of measure. And that's a far cry from the egotistic, fear-based wealth hoarding most of us have been conditioned into, right? But it's exactly the consciousness shift and evolution that allows you to prosper without attachment and use that flow for the greatest good, to change the world. The path is clear. Evolve out of those base animal patterns holding you trapped in lack. Just grow past them. Expand into the unlimited human and beyond that you were coded for from birth, knowing that you have the ability to enhance that code, embrace prosperity as a facilitator for activating and expressing the highest version of yourself. And once you tap into that frequency of creative source flow, money will joyfully flood in as a mere tool for amplifying your light. But the true reward lies in oh God, the indescribable bliss of living your fullest divine embodiment. So, who's ready to stop just surviving and start indulging in the abundant self where they were born to be? The path to higher consciousness, it awaits you. Just follow the signs that divine prosperity leaves you every single moment of the day. Keep showing up to these live streams, we'd appreciate, and join us on our next masterclass and notice how your reality begins to transform. Or better yet, how it evolves. And
That's
the proof is going to be when you do the abundance breath 5 steps. I'm telling you, as soon as you do that, you will notice a difference. Might be small, might be big, might be that client that you've been trying to get for the last 6 months finally calls you, might be an email that shows up. It might just simply be a penny on the ground, but it's still more abundance into your life than you had before you did it. And then you're going to notice something else, and then you're going to notice something else, and then you're going to notice something else. And that's just the beginning.
so now you are on your way to unlocking the prosperity code. Combine this live stream with what we've taught in previous ones, because we've been focusing a lot on this in previous ones, and add upcoming events like the ignition factor into the mix. And if you haven't already begun to notice, you'll be moving from struggle, feeling trapped, powerless, worried, and uncertain into a new reality, where every day you start by waking up with a sense of excitement and calm, knowing that your financial future is secure and abundance, that you are effortlessly managing your finances, no longer burdened by stress or worrying about money. As you step out of bed, you feel a newfound sense of freedom and possibility, fully aware that the root causes of financial struggle are behind you. And those long-standing beliefs and conditioned programming that once held you back are no longer part of your life. You've unraveled decades of false narratives, maybe even generations of limiting beliefs about money. Instead of feeling guilty or shame around money, you embrace it with gratitude and confidence. And you understand that money is a tool for creating value and enhancing your life and the lives of others. You're enjoying the fruits of your financial freedom. Maybe you're traveling to dream destinations, experiencing new cultures and adventures. Maybe you're investing in your personal growth, taking courses, hiring coaches that continue to ignite and elevate your success. You're living a life where you have the time and resources to pursue your passions and hobbies fully. without financial constraints. This is not just a dream. This is the reality you can create. By activating your ignition factor, you continue learning how to uncover and release all hidden blocks to your prosperity. You completely transform your financial destiny. You align your thoughts, your words, and actions with the flow of abundance, and the universe will respond to your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, and align with them. And you know you deserve to live a life of true abundance. And with the right knowledge and mindset, it's entirely within your reach.
Exactly. So let me ask you a question. Can you see now how combining the activation of your DNA to attract unlimited money with the removal of all the things preventing you from having true abundance is where it's going to put you on the fast track to having success that you've been missing out on? Can you do the abundance allowing breath to work on your connection to that infinite flow of abundance? Would it be all right with you if I share something with you? If you want to really take this further, what we've covered today, we just finished up on the details of the newest masterclass, The Ignition Factor, catapulting your business with 6 radical steps. And as we've mentioned a few times in these last couple of live streams, the details are now finalized. And I'll tell you this, we put together a 2.5-hour masterclass with us taking a deep, deep dive into the 6 radical steps that will ignite and elevate your business and your life to success so that you can have more money, more abundance, and spirituality in that life. We've also gotten very creative in pricing it out, as you'll see on the registration page, and we'll drop the link. So if you like today's live stream, and you're going to love this masterclass, it's live, it's fun, it's very, very cool. It's the Ignition Factor, catapulting your business with 6 radical steps. The link is in the comments.
So that's our live stream for this week, everyone. Thanks for sticking around a little extra, knowing that Ross had that little hiccup with Techie, and you guys sticking around for a little longer than normal. Appreciate that. Thank you for showing up, and more importantly, for participating and actively seeking the solutions for bringing more wealth and abundance into your life. And before we go, I'd like to leave you with a dare, and that is, we dare you to be exceptional today, tomorrow, and every day after that. And the only way to do that is to implement what you learn and learn from what you implement. That's our live stream for today, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to seeing you next week. And be well, everyone. Thanks.
That's a wrap. See you. Bye-bye.